Okay, shalom everybody.
Shalom. Shalom.
Too many bottles, huh? Okay, so we learned a lot. We're about to start the chapter 9. Let me start the slideshow. We learned a lot, and we learned about our spiritual anatomy, so to speak, the inner structure. First, we realized that we have two souls. The dichotomy of Jewish soul is so extreme that not only we have two sides within our inner spiritual structure. These two sides actually they have divided, separated into two different carriers: divine soul and animal soul. Animal soul, the one which animates the body. Divine soul, that's the desire to serve Hashem. The most inner spiritual spark which is within us. We cannot even say it animates us because it's too lofty to deal with the body directly. It needs the animal soul. So now let's get closer to the idea of how these two powers, two spiritual elements, how they relate to each other. I want to say cooperate, but cooperation would be a great achievement. What are the default settings of their relationship? So we understand that they somehow they live within our body, but how they deal with it and with each other. So that's the topic of chapter 9. והנה מוקם משכן נפש הבאמס שמקליפוס נגע בכל איש ישראל הוא בלב בכל שמאלי שהוא מולי דום. וכסיף כדם הוא הנפש. Okay. The word of the animal soul, nefesh habemis, derived from the klipos noga in every Jew, is in the heart. In the left ventricle of it is filled with blood. The treatment for the blood is the nefesh. Okay. Now let's try to understand this, the terminology, the language, how it corresponds with our physiology. Understand that it's not exactly about the physiology what we're reading here. The idea is that each soul has certain, even though they deal with the entire body. So understand, if part of the body wouldn't have soul somehow within it, it wouldn't be living. It wouldn't be existing at all. But within the body, for each soul, there is some zone of primer residence, so to speak, or primer revelation. What is it for the animal soul? It's the blood system, and the center of the blood system is the heart. Because when we think about how our body exists, how is it animated, by what it is animated, the first thought is blood. That's what provides all the vital nutritions, all the things necessary for the cells of our body to function, to live, and so on. This is the reflection of the spiritual phenomenon, spiritual flows, which animate us as a living creature, and the center of the revelation of our animal soul is the heart. More specifically, the left part of the heart, which is called the part which is full of blood. Contrary to the right part of the heart, which is called empty from blood. Again, it's not the medical description. Let's try to understand. Comparing to what we know about our physiology, what is the function of the blood? To
bring vitality and
to bring vitality, nourishment,
and oxygen.
and first of all, oxygen, right? Which part of the pump, this main pump, actually pumping that functional blood? There are two, as we know, there are two types of blood: arterial blood and vein blood. What's the difference between arteries and veins? They're all blood vessels. Why even the color would be different?
One has not been touched by oxygen.
Oh, so the blood is different in arteries and veins. What blood is in arteries?
Red.
Which red. What blood is in veins?
Looks blue.
Yeah. Blackish. But, through the skin, we see blood. Why? Why these types of blood are different? Because arterial blood
Has oxygen.
So, functionally speaking, this is the blood. This is the liquid which brings vitality to the body. The other blood is, chemically it's also functional liquid, but it's not the one which the body needs.
Yeah.
In order to become the functioning blood, it has to go through the little cycle within the body, which goes to the lungs,
Mm-hmm.
and then this blood, exactly, and then this blood, already 100% blood, goes to the right side of the left side of the heart. So that's how it corresponds to the mystical teaching about the two sides of heart. One has blood, another one is empty of blood, so to speak.
Useless blood.
Because our anatomy is a projection of the spiritual structure on the screen of the physical reality, so to speak. That's how it being presented. That's how these spiritual concepts, ideas, principles being embodied in our physicality. So this left side of the heart, full of blood, is actually the primary location, the beginning, the point of the initial revelation of our animal soul. And from this center, it sends forth its influence, so to speak, signals to the entire body, including not very remote, but very distinctly separated part of the body, where it has this separate cycle of blood, providing blood to the most energy-consuming device in our body, brain. That's right. This picture. Okay. Lochen, let's go back to our heart. Lochen kol ha'taivis v'hispoirus v'kas v'dei mehem hem balev. Omei halev hem ispashtis b'chol haguf v'gam ha'il l'mav sheberosh. Hence, all lusts and boasting and anger and similar passions, we're talking about emotions, feelings, are in the heart. In all the cultures, always people associate their feelings with the heart. even though it's not the organ of our nervous system. Nevertheless, all the feelings are being reflected in the way how the heart works. Yeah. Because that's the center. Because that's the center of our animal soul. And talking about animal soul, what's the main part of animal soul? We learned it. It also has 10 inner powers, like godly soul, divine soul, intellect, and midas, emotions. But what's the
primary is the emotions.
Primarily, it's emotions. The lusts. What is lust? It's emotion, but it's emotion with vector, with direction. Forceful direction, exactly. And that's the essence of our animal soul. It's the desire towards something which pushes us and sends the signals to the computer, to the brain, forcing it to calculate the ways of achieving.
And also, even when you logically know you shouldn't be doing it, your emotions are strong, and the lust just pushes you to do it. Because
very often, unfortunately, but this is not how it's meant to work. So we need to tune up this system. But again, in the animal soul, the main part is midas, emotions, feelings. That's why.
In the godly soul, is it the intellect?
We'll get to it, and that's why the primary revelation is in the heart, and from the heart. The same way how the heart on the physical level sends blood, pumps blood to the entire body, including brain, head. It's the reflection of the influence of our animal soul, which starts from the heart, the desire, the emotion, the lust, whatever feeling bursts in this center, and forcing its influence into the other bodies. Sometimes uncontrollable. The limbs start shaking just because of the strength of the emotions, and then they start moving in the desirable directions, and the brain is forced to think and contemplate and calculate the ways of achieving these desires. Hence, all those anger, similar passions are in the heart, and from the heart they spread through the whole body, rising also to the brain in the head. כמו שאדם קיר בלב, ומהלב מספשת לכל האיברים וגם אלה המוח שבראש. Running also to the brain in the head, and so as to think and meditate about them and become cunning in them, just as the blood has its source in the heart, and from the heart it circulates into every limb, rising also to the brain in the head. That's illustrated with the picture. The picture which we interested now is on the left, right? That's the blood system, which perfectly illustrates what we just said. The center is in the heart, on the left, and from the heart it pushes its influence into the entire body, including the brain. Okay, let's continue. Any questions about what was mentioned? Okay. Ach, מקיים משכן נפש האלוקis, הוא במייכן שבראש, ומשם מספשטס לכל האיברים, וגם בלב, בכל הימיני שאין בו דם. כמו שכוסף לב חכם למיני. Okay. But the abode of the divine soul, the zone of primary residence, of initial revelation, of the divine soul is in the brains that are in the head, right? In most of the cases. And from there it extends to all the limbs, and also in the heart, in the right part of it, wherein there is no blood. It is written that the heart of the wise man is on his right. Very interesting. Okay, before we I need time out. I'm so sorry.
Is the mic on?
Okay, yeah, mic is on. Okay, so again, just like the animal soul, the godly soul also has its own zone of the initial revelation, from which it sends forth its influence to the entire body. It starts from the brain, and you see, we specifically mention, including the heart, the entire body, including the heart. But there is another strange thing is added here. To the right side of it. Why are you smiling?
I'm just paying attention to you.
Oh, okay.
You just have to.
No, maybe I was saying something medically funny.
Learning Tanya on a Wednesday night.
Okay.
Beautiful way.
Okay, it makes you happy. That's great. That's the best result. It's worth everything. Okay. What might it mean?
Well, if the blood is
Why?
on the left.
So it goes to the entire body. Why we specifically single out the heart, the right part of it? Any ideas? Why is it important to mention?
Because technically, it's like blood without lust and emotion, because it's the blood that's.
Say it again.
It's like it's in the place where the blood is least, like it's in a place with no lust and emotion, because the blood is technically spent already. It's not blood that is.
So what?
So it's saying that the divine soul lives in the place with the least amount of emotions that's leading you. You should be leading yourself with your intellect. So it's.
Okay, but it sends first it's to the entire body. Why specifically we single out? And in addition to everybody, we single out specifically heart, and not just heart, but the right part of it.
Because it's sending out to the whole body, but from a place of not just being driven by emotion. It's sending out. You have to influence something from a place where you can. But
why did we single out the brain when we were talking about the animal soul, which starts from heart and sends its influence to the entire body, including brain?
Because the brain is in charge of the intellect.
Okay, we're talking about two souls, which organized in different ways, but it's very important. So the main part of animal soul is emotions, middays, but the brain, the moichin, the chokhmah bina das, the intellectual powers are still part of it, and they are the highest part of it. So they determine the level of development of the entire being, but the brain of the animal soul is being used by the main part of it, by the feelings, lusts, and now what about the godly soul? Also has 10 inner powers, could be grouped into two parts: powers of intellect and emotions. Which is the main part? No brainer, intellect. And that's why it's being yes, and that's why it's the initial zone of revelation is brain. But it's not enough. What should be? What's the next step? Okay, the main part of divine soul is the powers of the intellects. But what we discussed it, the collective work of the powers of intellect bring forth give existence to the emotional powers, which in its turn should be transformed into proper actions. So the idea of the brain power of godly soul is to create the proper emotions. And that's why it's been reflected on the even on the physiological level, how there's the channel of influence from brain to the heart. We connect it with the right part, which is not, which like contrary to the specifically functional pumping job of the heart. It's more symbolically heart, but on the level of functionality less than the left part. It represents the work, the task of divine soul to create what's the English word for Platzdarm? You know, for the army, the territory where it groups all the regiment and ammunition to start. No, the territory. The territory which not just captures but also used to the further attacks and what?
Launching ground?
I forgot the English
While
word.
you look it up, Todd, I thought of a great analogy for what you're saying is another reason why it's on that side where the oxygen's left the blood. It's showing that this blood came from the brain, because only the blood that came from it comes to the brain with oxygen, but leaves the brain with no oxygen. So the godly soul is on the part of where the blood has no oxygen to show that these emotions are being controlled by the brain, because the blood already left. It went from the brain to the left side.
Mm-hmm. Place of arms. Place of arms. Breach head, springboard. The zone captured in the territory which, like, it belongs more to your counterpart. Nevertheless, you create your own zone. The emotions, which might not be very natural to the person himself, but the proper emotions created by the intellectual work of the divine soul.
So why not have the God soul just reside in the brain and the animal soul reside in the heart?
That's what it is. But from their own residences, primary residences, they send influence to their counterparts, living quarters.
You said they're both in the heart. One's in the left side.
No, the divine soul is in the brain.
It is in the brain.
It is in the brain. But from the brain, it sends influence to the entire body, including the right side of the heart, creating there, like sub-residence, which reflects the idea of which we mentioned before, that the work of the mind by the divine soul is to create proper emotions. And emotions correspond to the level of heart. That's why we single out that place of arms for the divine soul, right next door to the animal soul residence. And here the more detailed explanation of what we're talking about when you mention the influence coming from the brain, influence of the divine soul coming from the brain to the level of the heart. V'hi avaz Hashem, kirish v'shal heves, hamisla heves balev maschilim, hamivinim mizboinim b'daitam asher b'moicham, uvidvarim hami'irin mezahava. It is the source of man's fervent love towards God, which, like flaming coals, flares up in the heart of this discerning man who understand and reflect with the faculty of knowledge of the brain on matters which arouse the love. We mentioned this concept before, how the powers of intellect work. when you contemplate on greatness of Hashem, how his revelations in this world, and his revelation of his wisdom in the Torah and so on, that's what aroused the desire to unite with him. That's what love essentially is. And it could be different levels of love. Those words, it's not just poetic expressions. Besides being quotations from the Holy Script, they have spiritual meaning, describing different levels of love, which could be produced by the efforts of our mind, by the efforts of our divine soul. V'chein simchas levav b'tiferes Hashem v'hadar gioini kasher einei hacham asher b'roishi b'ma'ach achmasi v'nasi mistaklim b'yikr d'malko v'siferes d'losi adein chekir v'ein soiv v'tachlis k'mor v'okem acher v'chein shar midos kedushis shebelev hein chachma bin adas sheb'meichen. Also, of the gladness of the heart, happiness, and the beauty in the beauty of God and the majesty of His glory, which is aroused when the eyes of the wise man that are in his head, means in the brain harboring his wisdom and understanding, gaze at the glory of the King and beauty of His greatness that are unfathomable, my gosh, and without end or limit, as explained elsewhere. As also the other holy affections, midas, the emotions in the heart, originate from Chabad, wisdom, understanding, knowledge in the brains. So we're talking about all the emotions aroused, not exactly created. So they're not created from nothing. They brought forth from their source by the efforts of our mind. Both love and fear, and remember, when we mention fear of God, it's not the fear of punishment. It's rather awe. From if love is desire of closeness, of oneness, any love, that's the essence of love. That's what love is: to be together, to be one. Or connected rather with distance, either creating distance or understanding, realizing the distance. When we're talking about the awe of the greatness of God, we realize how great He is, how far we are from Him, finite creatures from infinite Creator. That's what creates awe, as understanding of this tremendous distance and so on. And these are the main midas, the main emotions: love and fear, love and awe. And they, in their combinations, they create all others, starting from Tiferes, which is a synthesis of love and fear, and so on. That's what happens on the level of the heart. So we have, appears what from what was said above. Within our body, we have two tenants. One has apartment in the heart, another has apartment in the brain. I mean, higher floor, but they're both interested in the something on the property of the neighbor. One sends signals to the heart, another sends signals to the brain. It might be pretty manageable. So what are their relationship of these two tenants within our body? How they manage or cooperate? How they cohabit within this system of human being? And the default regime, so to speak, the mode of their cohabitation and relationship is programmed from the very beginning. And the formula of it is hinted in the words of the Torah, describing relationship between twin brothers, Yaakov and Esav, who were fighting in the womb of the mother, Rivka. So when it was so disturbing, I mean, she was praying for kids for many years. And when finally she became pregnant, it was very, very disturbing, because those two fetuses were fighting it within the womb. So there was no what do you call it, this women's offices, you know, there was no this type of centers, medical centers back then. So she went to the prophet for the diagnosis. What's going on? And Hashem, God Almighty Himself, through the prophet, told her that you have two nations within your womb. These people will be the forefathers of two nations. Nations in the most general term. I mean, one became the father of the Jewish nation of Israel. The other became father of the group of nations, antagonistic, not very friendly to the Jewish nation. And the relationship was predicted. Ulam elam yematz, and one nation will be fighting another. Literally means constantly taking how to say
some wins.
Prevailing over the other. Once this one, once another time another one. But the idea that they will be constantly fighting. As a treating, however, the one nation shall prevail over the other nation. That's the program of the historical matrix, so to speak, of our nation history among the other nations, descendants of Esav, but it's also the program of relationship of our two souls, two elements within ourselves, two tenants within our body. They will be fighting. That's the normal situation for them. How manageable this fight is, we will learn. Could it be self-destructive for the person? Yes, of course. Can it be avoided? Should be. How? Well, we will learn. That's the most important wisdom to learn. On one hand, these two elements, they program to fight each other. On the other hand, how to make it less painful for ourselves and maybe most effective. How to transform this war into harmony. It's doable. That's the good news. How? That's the long way to learn and practice. כי הגוף נקרא עיר קטנה, או כמו ששני מלוכים נלחמים על עיר אחת, שכל אחד רוצה לכבשה ולמלך עליה. The body is called a small city. Just as two kings wage war over a town, which each wishes to capture and rule. דהיינו, להעניק ליושביה כרצוני, ושיהיו סורים למשמעותי בכל אשר יגזר עליהם. כך שתי הנפשות, הליקיס והחיוניס, הבהמיס, שמהקליפה נלחמס זוי עם זוי על הגוף וכל איבוריו. So just as two kings wage war over the town, which each wishes to capture and rule, this is to say, to dominate its inhabitants according to his will, so that they obey him in all that he decrees for them. So the two souls, the divine and the vital animal soul that comes from the klipa, wage war against each other over the body and all its limbs. So the body is the city, the limbs, the parts of the body, are the citizens of this town. And each soul wants to be a ruler. It could be different levels of ruling. You see, so they obey him at the decrees, or to dominate its inhabitants. It corresponds to different levels of domination, of rulership. It could be like the aggressor captures the town, foreign city, and just imposes his will over the citizens. The citizens don't like him, don't like these new rules. It's against their habits, customs, and culture, but they are forced to follow. Could be different situation, right? The capturer could be wise enough to deal with the citizens according to the proper understanding what these people want, what they need, what are their culture, traditions, and so on. So the rules which he wants to convey and to impose being accepted by them more willingly, or if he is wise enough, if he is persuasive enough, he might educate them and to convince them that those rules are actually much better than customs they lived before. That's what America wasn't very successful to do with Iraq, you know.
Instead of integration.
Bringing the treasures of civilization to barbaric culture. It's not an easy task. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it takes generations to convince that those values are actually good values. Sometimes it's mission impossible. So what kind of mission it is for our two kings, the divine soul and the animal soul? We'll learn next time.
Wow. Cliffhanger.